Hello everyone, my name is Amir Farhangy and I'm here to announce the first episode of the podcast Plan B. As part of this introduction, I want to start what is Plan B and why Plan B, why I started this podcast. I also want to explain a little bit about what is this podcast about and why I started this journey and what I want to get to, hopefully with the help of my audience that I would like to build gradually. If you don't know me, my background is engineering. I graduated as chemical engineer and started working in the manufacturing industry, and gradually I became very much interested in the subject of leadership and a little bit of management. So in my workplace, I started as a process engineer, but gradually I went towards senior roles and process performance manager, eventually getting to the central team as a process champion, which in that role I am supporting the engineers, the young engineers, and coaching them if there is a training material or if there is a project that I need to step in and help them lead the project. It becomes also less technical and more around leadership, productivity, time management. I got opportunities to go through apprenticeship program where I learned more about coaching, about leadership, about understanding human behavior and why we do what we do. That was very insightful. And it raised the awareness within myself that something growing, kind of old passion or potential that I actually had from the beginning, but I never managed to bring it up to the surface. So this was a good opportunity for me to step into that realm, a realm of productivity, personal mastery, and gradually going even higher, getting to the management and dealing with people interpersonal level. So long story short, apart from my interest within the realm of personal mastery and growth, I started reading a lot of books, a lot of systems. Through the last 5 years, I'm not exaggerating, at least my library is full of books and lots of training materials and workshops that I attended. And the more I went through all of this, I realized that, okay, first, let me say that I'm not going to devalue or bring the value of those trainings down and or saying that there is no point in attending all those trainings. But I long for finding system that helps me step by step sort my life and get the productivity not only on the personal level but also getting to the higher level, interpersonal level, and eventually towards communications, career development and entrepreneurship. So this is something I found that I have to bring all these trainings together, all these materials together, my own learnings together, and all those shortcuts or life hacks or methodologies that I developed for myself into one system, which I called it Plan B. And I will explain later why I named this Plan B. But for the time being, before I get to the Plan B part, I wanted to say the Plan B for me was something, a shortcut that I realize anyone start using it, they become straight away the level that they need to be for growth and for development. One of the main problems that I found almost everywhere when I read the forums, the comments of the customers, some comments such as, I'm not a finisher, I'm a good planner, but I cannot finish the task, I don't have focus. Sometimes I indulge myself into one side of the work, but not getting to the holistic approach and getting to the whole aspect of the production or the project or the business. So one side, one aspect, I delve into the perfectionism And the other side, I start procrastination and postponing some of the actions. Other comments around lack of clarity, lack of right level of planning, and more importantly, above all, I would say it was all about mood and energy, what energy level I am, what level of agility I am. And this is all in the personal level. And then after all these, I started looking at some of the comments around the interpersonal level, mostly around communication, influence, bring the team together, get the best out of the people, get the right level of communication. So that's where I became an enthusiast and started developing a system, not necessarily from myself, all of it. I can't put the credit everything for myself. I learned certainly a lot about all those trainings and books, but I made them into a procedure that you follow point by point, bullet points, and if you follow them like a life hack, then you would get to that results that you are aiming. So I started changing my perspective after that. I'm not a kind of person that want to be necessarily very wealthy. At some point, this was my target, but I realize it's not the targeting and the aim, the objectives is not around money, is not about wealth. And people who have targets such as money or wealth, I'm not saying it's not right. All I'm saying it is not a right way. And the best way is around being happy, become what you are passionate about, and working around what you love. Because if you do that and you go through all those elements of developing yourself, you do it with all heart, you do it with all your power and your energy, and then you realize that the rest of success or the rest of indications of success will come afterwards. This is the identity that is important, the identity of the person that we are becoming. And that is all about be and being. I'm referring at why I call this system Plan B, because I'm focusing on the identity. So we are going to become someone who is successful. Well, in that case, we are going to be that person. We need to understand what successful people do, and then we copy them. We copy the same methodology, the same way of thinking, the same thing that they do, the same thing that they read, their mindset. For example, if you want to be a good photographer, or if you want to be a good writer, and this is our passion, this is something that we want, this is something really we want to do deep down, then we need to understand what successful photographers do. And what successful writers or authors do. So this is very important. Reading their biographies, autobiographies, give you some ideas around the way of living, of the way that their vision, how they handle life, how they make themselves busy, what they read, what they do, where they go. This is important. So the identity is very important. So it's something that sounds easy, but when I go through the methodology, you will see it's doable, but it easily can be missed. And Plan B is the way that will make you focus on that identity and make you bring all the fruits and the byproducts. So I talk about focusing, I talk about avoiding procrastination, I talked about avoiding some perfectionism in some areas. This also is part of the Plan B, what hack we can use. And certainly through that way, we need to understand ourselves. If I said the first thing is around having the right level of energy and mood, I would say the second requirement as a step 0, getting to the path towards success, is to understand ourselves, know ourselves. We have different personality traits, different personality insights, and we need to understand where we are, because that understanding and that level of awareness will tell us how we should change or where we need to dial up or dial down our traits in order to get the results that we want. And deep down with ourselves, we need to be honest, and we need to understand That, for example, if you are a person that is introvert and like to delve into calculations and figures and numbers or coding, we will be classified in the group of people who are focusing on one aspect of life and one aspect of the mastery or the project or the business that they developing as an entrepreneur, but not going to the other aspects, which is more outgoing and more extrovert related matters. So with that level of awareness, we need to push ourselves, although it might not be easy, but with awareness, it's all about planning in advance and doing it. And you can find the hack, you can find some of those shortcuts for yourself. It's not all about that I'm saying plan B is giving you all the answers, but all I'm saying is that as a second important part of the plan B is to understand you and know yourself and get to the right level for different tasks. The second aspect I want to talk about is why I started this podcast. Why this podcast? The first answer I can have for this is this business or this passion of mine is in its infancy, and I need to able to bring the message to more people. Without that noise, without that hustle, I will not be able to do what I am passionate about. And this journey for me gives also extra learning, because if I learn and apply it on myself and few people through my professional work, this will give me some experience, another level of experience to apply the rules and life hacks and the methodology that I developed in Plan B to a wider group of people. So I started the website, I started the Instagram channel, some plan around the YouTube channel as well, and this podcast. And also this is a preferable channel for me because I can talk in my room to the audience and talk around what happened and what I have planned for each week, some of the announcement, the news of the main progress. It will be interesting also because for some of the audience, you will hear how I am developing the business, because eventually this will be one of the role model of how in future I would like to talk around business development. So we read a lot about business development. When I started, it was only personal mastery, and then eventually it gets to the career development. But now I'm thinking about the business development. This is something that I started developing some skills since 2 years ago. And you will see some of the results while I'm doing the progress, while I'm doing the business. So hopefully with the podcast, I can update you with that regards. And what I plan for the podcast, like I said, is apart from this news and progress announcements and so on, there are some subjects that each week I would like to talk about. And this week I will not have that much time to talk about a subject. The blog that I am publishing in my website this week was around energy, mood, because this is the first aspect of the plan B. I leave that for next week. What I can tell you is that with that system, you straight away will go to a different wavelength of energy. If you don't have that level of energy, you will not be able to perform. You will not be able to step into the realm of mastery and growth. There are elements of practical exercise or practical methodologies that I am hoping each time address around some of the common problems like procrastination, perfectionism, lack of focus, or the negative mindset that sometimes periodically coming and going. I try at each episode choose one subject. I can ask from the audience, what is it that you want next time? I try to answer that. And overall, some final words around what is coming up. So the podcast give you some value. So it's not only talking about the business, me talking about what is Plan B, but also give you the real value around something that you can apply in your life, and something that you can also give me some feedback that what did you learn and what you did and what you achieved. Right. I know that I said I'm not going to cover the subject here, but I tempted to say something, and that is the 2-minute rule. And I want you to apply this 2-minute rule because I learned this very, very useful. It started with 1 minute, and the actual methodology is 7 minutes. But for the person who just started, it's a rule that I developed because I realized most of the books or most of the methodologies, when it comes to the energy and the mood, and we are focusing on what is it that we're eating, what is it that we're drinking, what kind of snack we're having, or these sort of things that give us energy. For example, having as much as possible protein in the morning to have endurance and power through the day, so it takes us through the day instead of having a lot of carbohydrate. And I'm aware of this fact that this is not necessarily true for everyone. So each person has different biology, different body, and for that reason, what I am saying, by all means, is not advice from a expert in the realm of biology. I'm pretty sure you can find a lot of good resources around that, but usually that's the sort of advice that you get. So the hydration in the morning is very important. The type of food that you're having, when you're having food, all of these discussions are very, very important. But more importantly, before getting to the concepts of food, hydration, and all of this, the 2 minutes rule is actually about generating energy, not eating. And what I mean is food by itself, food is not actually energy, is the fuel. Is the fuel that you put in your body. In order to turn it into energy, you need to burn it. Exactly same as the fuel that we put into the car, and we need to burn the fuel in order to turn it to the energy so the car can move. And if we want to utilize the energy of the food and don't waste it, we need to burn it when we need it. And the best way to do it is by some physical activities or some sort of physiology that we can change. And as soon as you say that, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have time for exercise, I don't have time for sport, and that's where the 2 minute rule developed, because the idea was that in 2 minutes we do something, 20 push-ups or some crunches. So you can actually bring your heartbeat twice the normal heartbeat that you have in natural situations. So if you do that and keep it for 2 minutes, then the battery that generates energy start charging you with that energy. And if you want to have more energy, you can add that 2 minutes and bring it to up to 10 minutes. If your heartbeat goes up, you start sweating, that's a good indicator that you're getting ready. The stream of energy started to flow in your body, and you straight away feel energized, feel in the right mood. One point of advice is, of course, the more rep you do, the more energy you actually bring, but up to a level. So don't make yourself, especially if you do it in the morning, don't bring it to a level to become very tired physically. So that's why the 2 minutes, it can get to 10 minutes or even 15 minutes, but I strongly suggest that don't make it more than that. If you want to exercise properly afternoon, you can do it. I usually do the running afternoons, but in the morning this is very important to do that 2 minutes rule to bring us to a right level of energy. Like I said, you can do either push-ups, you can do crunches, or you can do jumping jacks, something that bring you joy as well, and you enjoy it, so you don't see it like a burden of exercise. And again, start with, even if you think 2 minutes is too much, start with 1 minute. Just think about or imagine that battery in your body bringing that energy into your body, and then you get more motivated by doing some rest and then another rep, rest and rep. So that will bring you hopefully in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks from 2 minutes to 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and you straight away see the effect. The other hack that I have for this mood and energy is avoid sitting for a long time. Most of us unfortunately are involved in the office work or going to the meeting. I don't mind, and sometimes I would mention it to everyone at the beginning that I have some problem, I cannot sit. It's not a lie, it's actually a problem, because as soon as you sit and you feel that you are in a comfort zone, but actually you're going to a very hibernate mode. You feel at the end of a 2 or 3 hours meeting, you feel exhausted and tired mentally and physically. So strongly suggest that every now and then to stand up, then sit. I suggest that you have a kind of desk that you can actually change the height of it. So these are some of the rules or hacks that I share with you. And I start with the energy because this is very important right from the beginning. But this episode, I'm not going more into the detail. It was only introducing the podcast. And I have to say, in this way, I certainly need your support. I'm very, very a beginner in all matters of IT and computer science and internet. So my website, amirfarhangy.com, is certainly far from perfect at the moment. I'm developing it. Same for the Instagram. I haven't yet started properly. So any help or any comment at least will give me a lot of motivation and a lot of lessons that I can learn from you. And I hope you enjoy the material. And with that note, I'm going to finish this week's podcast and say goodbye to all of you. See you next week and have a great week and days.